My name is NIms and I'm the pastor of Freedom's Ark and the chief executive of the Peace Alliance. I just wanted to talk about the power of multimedia in the 21st century and the impact that we know this has in our city, in our country, in our nation, and how vital it is both for the gospel and for all the messages we're trying to get across in this nation. I think quite candidly about what happened whilst I was on the streets in Tottenham in 2011 with the riots. And it didn't start off as a riot, as most of you know, but having been a pastor for a good number of years and hearing that there was a need in our community, I went out on the high street, and there was a TV camera that came over to capture folks making a protest about the death of Mark Duggan. Talking with his partner, I realized there were great issues to be addressed, but nobody anticipated that we would end up with what we saw in London, in so many other urban cities across our country. But I think that the media played a massive role, both the social network media and the TV crews that came from all over, really. And in one sense, whilst the looting was going on in some parts of our city, other people were looking at that and saying, I can do that. And so TV, whilst it was used to inform our nation of the ills of what was going on in our society, it was also giving an opportunity for bad news to get spread. Now let's shift this. Let's kind of look at how we can use this for good news. Here's an opportunity working with, dare I say, Sanctuary Studios and others to try to get the great news about Christ, the great news about peace. The Bible says, seek the peace of the city for which is caused us to be held. And how do we seek the peace of the city? Well, God's using technology to get the message of Christ out there. And God's using technology to get the message of peace and hope out to a broad society. I just came a few days ago from Nigeria, where there were several million people worshiping Christ. And not only were they just worshiping Christ, but just seeing the sea of heads. That message was, that whole experience was beamed over to Australia, America, and people were sending in testimonies of what God was doing. Now, as a pastor in a church in Tottenham, I found out that whilst I was speaking to CNN, whilst I was speaking to BBC, people were hearing my thoughts from all over the world. What's my message to church leaders today? If we're going to actually impact the world, we've got to come to a place where we actually have a multimedia that is first class. And we need to work with organizations that can help us get the good news in a perfected fashion out to a world that needs a perfected message. So pretty much, I'm about done, but I want to say this. I think it's right that we give the world a true picture of the greatness of the gospel we carry. We can't be second rate about it. We can't be average about it. That's interesting, the word average. The word average comes from the word average. And that word average means partially damaged goods. No, we're not going to give a partially damaged message to Christ, about Christ. What we're going to do is we're going to give the best message we can. And we're going to use media facilities such as the one you're looking at right now, Sanctuary Studios. And let's get the message out there and tell the world. Let's just believe God, that God uses us to make a difference in the world around us. God bless you, and it's been great being with you. All right, ciao. It's Nims.
Yes.